Hi, my name is Star, and I'm going to be your happiness consultant today. So I see you've already filled out the Authentic Happiness Inventory Questionnaire. Yeah, the AHIQ. The reason we have you fill that out is it'll give us a baseline of your current happiness, and then we'll be able to compare that later as you come in for subsequent visits. So we're going to do a few things today. First, we're going to do some brain monitoring so we can see how your brain operates currently, and we can check if the parts of your brain that indicate happiness seem to change over this session and then over future sessions. And then I'm going to talk to you a lot about happiness, but I don't want you to get overwhelmed. There are a lot of things to do. There are a lot of things that can improve your happiness, but we're only going to do a few at a time. Habits take a long time to change. It usually takes about 30 days of doing something regularly before it becomes a habit. And so it doesn't make sense for us to try to change everything at once. That would become too overwhelming, and then you would end up giving it up anyway. So we start slow. We want you to really be able to benefit from these consultations and hopefully really increase your happiness and your longevity scores. So a lot of the things that help with happiness also really improve our longevity as well. So let me start off. I'm going to put, we have a few electrodes in a cloth hat that I'm going to put on your head. Okay? All right. All right. Does that fit okay? Okay, great. And then I'm going to also take just a couple of electrodes that we're going to put on your temples. So let's see. That's a good place over here. And then let's try this one right over here. Okay. Does that feel okay? I know it may feel strange, but we like to keep these consultations as scientific as possible. And we really do have some good information about the parts of the brain that indicate happiness. And so we like to track that, as well as having you retake the Authentic Happiness Inventory Questionnaire so that we can see your self-report as well as your brain changes. Okay, so I hope you don't mind. I'm going to take some notes. Okay, and there are 5 major areas that have to do with happiness: physical health, mental health, sort of growth, passion, purpose, what gives meaning to your life, relationships, and your work. So the first one we're going to start off with is physical health, because I think, as you know, if we are ill, if we aren't taking care of ourselves physically, it's very hard to be happy when we're feeling that way. So if we can get the physical body in shape, it's then easier to work on mental issues and growth issues. Okay, so that's what we're going to start with, but I am going to tell you about all of the different areas today. So first of all, do you have any medical issues that you're currently dealing with? Okay, so nothing that you know of. That's good. When's the last time you had a physical? All right, so not too bad. I know many of us are a lot worse than that about getting physicals, but that's actually one of the homework assignments that I would give you before our next visit, is to have you have a physical, just to make sure that everything is okay. Now, we don't recommend physicals all that often, because again, sometimes all the testing that they do, they found it actually causes more anxiety, and sometimes they do testing about medical issues that they can't actually help you with. So, but having said that, if you do have some sort of medical issue, especially something that may be affecting your happiness, we want to know about that right away. So I'm going to have you get a physical. Do you have any anxiety around getting a physical, any phobias of doctors or anything like that? No. So it's just making time for it. Okay. Well, it's one of your tasks. So we'll have you call your doctor and get an appointment. Again, if you can't get an appointment within the 30 days before our next consultation, that's fine. We just want you to make it a priority because it is so easy to put that to the wayside. So the next issue is sleep. Do you have any problems with sleeping? Do you have insomnia? Yes, okay. How does that insomnia manifest? Do you have a hard time falling asleep? Do you have a hard time staying asleep? And or do you wake up early? So mostly falling asleep. Sometimes waking up in the middle of the night. Okay. And what do you tend to do in that case? If you are having trouble falling asleep, do you tend to thought race so your brain can't turn off? Yeah, that's what most of us, I'm just going to take some notes. That's what most of us have when we have trouble falling asleep. It's thought racing. So what do? You lay in bed and just try to fall asleep. Okay. They've actually found that after about 20 minutes, if you really can't fall asleep and you don't feel yourself getting any closer to sleep, you should get up and go do something boring. So usually trying to read a book. You don't want too much light. So if you do decide to watch a video, an ASMR video or a guided meditation, it's actually better if you can listen to it audio instead of watching it. If that doesn't work for you, it doesn't help make you sleepy, then you just want to try and turn off all the other lights in the room. Just have the light from the computer, and really try to make it tranquil when you do that. Another thing that's often helpful is to write down what you're thought racing about. Sometimes we can't turn our brain off because we're afraid we'll forget things. I know sometimes for me, I'll be having a conversation or writing an email in my head about a situation that's happened during the day, and if I just get myself up and I write down what I want to say to that person or what I want to email, it often helps me to calm down and then fall asleep. Okay? So, what is your bedroom like? I'm not trying to ask anything too personal, but the reason I ask is because the task that we have for this month, if you haven't done it already, is you really want to make sure that your bedroom is a sleep room as much as possible. So you really want no television in your bedroom, no computer in your bedroom. You want to keep lights dim. It's often helpful to get in bed about a half hour before you want to fall asleep. Lights dim in the room, just a bedside light if you have one, and read if you can. Again, if you're not a big reader, even if it's a magazine or anything like that, just something to sort of help you wind down. TV isn't always the most calming thing to watch, and we all tend to watch TV and then go to bed. So if you're having trouble falling asleep, you really want to take sort of that half-hour break away from the TV, away from the computer, before you try to fall asleep, and it may help transition you. If, because of the layout of your house, or if you have roommates, or I know I've had several parts in my life where I had to have a TV in my room or I had to have a computer in my room because it was really my only my only personal space. Try to cover those up with a scarf or a blanket or something when you're getting ready for bed. You really want to try to make your bedroom a bit of a sanctuary so that you are able to see that room as a place to sleep, even though you may not be watching your computer at night when you're going to sleep. Knowing it's in the room, especially if you use it for work, may really cause you to think more about work. Okay, so is that an issue for you? Okay, you do have a laptop usually in your room. Okay, and again, that's all right, but unplug it so you don't have the light from the power cord. Put it away somewhere so you're not looking at it, and definitely don't be looking at it right before you try to fall asleep. If you need to have it handy in case you need a video to help fall asleep, you know, it's fine to have it in your room, but just you want to try and create some space where your bedroom is really a place where you sleep. And you have a television in there as well. Okay, so get something calming. Again, you don't want a bright red quilt or something like that to put over your TV. If you can find sort of a nice blue colored, light colored scarf or blanket or something like that, just to put over the TV, just to sort of mentally close off yourself from the television right before you go to sleep. Okay? Now, other physical issues, again, I said we would really keep it simple. So your tasks are going to be getting a physical, making the changes in your bedroom, and then the one hard task that we are going to have is food. Okay, so what are your eating habits like right now? Are you vegetarian? Do you eat meat? Okay. How often do you eat meat? Do you eat much fast food? Okay. All right. Do you eat out for lunch when you're at work or school? All right. What do you usually have? Okay. Do you consume a lot of caffeine? A cup of coffee in the morning? Do you ever have caffeinated drinks after 3 p.m.? Maybe a soda. A soda actually does not have that much caffeine in it, a little bit, but again, if you're going through a bout of insomnia, it's probably a good thing to cut out after 3 o'clock. But a coffee in the morning is fine. Do you drink black tea? Do you know all the things that have caffeine in them? Black tea, green tea, decaf coffee has some caffeine in it. Again, very little, so it's probably not going to affect your sleep unless you're drinking it right before you go to bed. Chocolate, very little. Again, soda, not a lot unless you're drinking, something that is specifically for caffeine, like Mountain Dew. And, if you're drinking a tremendous amount of it after 3 o'clock, then that's giving you a lot of caffeine and it's probably making you have to get up and go to the bathroom while you're sleeping. Do you eat or drink a lot of refined sugar, preservatives? Okay. So it sounds like you have a little bit healthier than normal American diet. Okay, so it's good that you avoid the fast food and don't drink much soda. Honestly, and I know it's a very hard task, so you will have to pick and choose the things that you think you'll be able to accomplish. Again, we don't want you to jump in with both feet and then find you can't sustain it. So it is really preferable not to drink sugary drinks as much as you can. So if you're able to switch to herbal teas and water, you another reason to drink tea and water is you really need to get that hydration as well. Soda will give you a little bit, coffee will give you a little bit, but you're really going to get the most of it from tea, water. Even if you did your own lemonade, and if you're able to use sort of a honey base or some other sweetener rather than refined sugar, or at least try and cut down how much sugar you're using. A lot of us drink the majority of our calories. If you are drinking a soda with every meal, you are drinking a tremendous amount of calories if you're drinking regular. And if you're drinking diet, they've found that even that kind of primes your body for wanting more sugar. So you may find you're craving more sugar because your body's so used to that taste. There's so much aspartame in diet sodas that your body really feels like it's getting all the sugar, but then it's not getting the calories, so it wants more and more and more. So again, if you're trying to lose weight, you may want to cut out the diet sodas too. I've found if I at least try to push those diet drinks to later in the day, at least I won't eat as much sugar and treats, because I don't have as much time in the day. But if I start pretty early with the sugary drinks, sort of a slippery slope. So you want to try to cut that out, again, little by little. Drop one soda that you have a day and replace it with water, lemonade, and again, this is lemonade that you make yourself, so not the powdered kind that again is going to have a lot of sugar in it. So if you want to get like a Splenda or a Truvia or a stevia, some sort of stevia or honey or agave is a really good sweetener, and you want to slowly try to cut out how much of that you use, and then a little bit of lemon juice or a little bit of lime juice and water, and just do the mix however you will like it. But what's really good is green tea, herbal teas. Black tea is okay as long as it's not that late in the day. And you can get decaffeinated black tea if you like the taste of English breakfast. Or there are a lot of tea options. With my son, I've actually convinced him that hibiscus tea with a little bit of agave in it is juice. It tastes like juice to him, and it's a lot healthier for him than a box of juice. So try to do that. So the good things about food. The two things that they've really found you want to do for both longevity and happiness are eat till you are 80% full. You do not want to feel stuffed. You want to still have a little bit of room in your stomach, and sometimes that may mean eating less than you think you need and waiting 20 minutes to see if you're still hungry. If you're still really hungry, eat a little bit more, but generally we think we're still hungry, and when we wait a little bit and the food gets into our stomach, we're not quite as hungry as we thought we were. And you really want the majority of your meals to be plants. So I know that's really hard. One of the best things when you're dieting is try to get 2 to 3 fruits and 5 vegetables a day. And part of the reason is if you're eating that many plants, it's hard to be eating a whole bunch of garbage because you're filling your stomach up with plants. So you really want your diet to consist mostly of plants. You know, especially for Americans, that is very difficult to do. So again, it may be this month you try to have a salad with lunch. So it's not about removing things as much as adding. So again, you don't want it. You want to only eat 80%, and you want, if you add a salad, you just won't be able to eat as much other sandwiches or whatever it is that you're eating, hamburger, hot dog, whatever it is you may be eating for your lunch or dinner. If you have a salad or soup with it, you're just not going to have as much room to have the things that aren't as good for you. But again, don't overdo it so that you're going to give up little steps. That's all we want, and we will keep working on it. Now, the other things that I'm going to talk about, I do not want you to start on this month. I really don't. Again, I see a lot of people who come in and they want to change everything right away, and honestly, I see them for maybe one more session, and then I don't see them again because they've given it up, because it's too hard to make all of those changes that fast. So here are the other things that they've found really benefit happiness. And just to talk a little bit more about happiness, 50% of our happiness is genetic. So we don't have a lot of control over it, that we inherited, and it's something we can't control. But don't be
disheartened by that. Another 10% is our circumstances. So it is how much money we make, what kind of job we have, if we're married, if we have children. It's those sort of things. And those are the things that we tend to attribute to the most, that we think gives us the most happiness. We think if we make another $40,000 a year, we will be so much happier than we would have been otherwise. Basically, they found with money, once you really have subsistence, you can pay for your apartment, you can pay for your food, you can pay your basic bills. When you make more than that, obviously, if you can't do that, that's really going to make you sad, and it's going to be very stressful. But over that, once that is covered, there are very slight benefits to making additional money. So once we are really into even lower middle class, making more money is great, but it's not going to change your life drastically in terms of happiness. So if your goals are all about your circumstances, if I had a partner, I would be happy. If I had children, would be happy. If I didn't have children, I would be happy. If I had a bigger house, I'd be happy. If I had a new car, I'd be happy. Not really. The 50% you can't control, that's genetic. The 10% that is your circumstance, sometimes you can control it, sometimes you can't. 40% of it is the way that we think. So if you can change the way that you think, if you can change your mindset so that you are optimistic and so that you can change your behaviors. So these are all the things that I'm going to talk about: sleep, food, physical health, mental health, purpose. So all the things I'm going to talk about now, these are the things that have a 40% chance of changing your level of happiness. Okay, so the next thing in physical health is exercise. And what you really want is natural exercise. So the people who live longest and the people who are happiest, honestly, are not at the gym all the time. What they're doing is they're walking to the store. Or they're walking to visit friends, or they're riding a bike, because that's the way they get around town. So you really want to look for natural ways to exercise. We live in a culture where many of us sit at a desk for very long periods of time. So you need to really make a conscious effort to be getting up and moving around. Whether it's a standing desk, if you have that option, and a standing desk, if you have a laptop, can be as simple as a box on your desk. And I'm not saying that you need to stand all day, but even if you stand for a half hour and sit for a half hour, stand for a half hour, sit for a half hour, it's something different. They have found that, I believe the study was with trolley car drivers, when the trolley car changed from having the driver stand to having them sit, their life expectancy reduced quite a bit. I can't remember the exact amount, but it was 5 or 10 years. It was really a tremendous amount that the trolley drivers who sat, that their life span decreased, and which is kind of amazing considering that we're probably talking about earlier in the century when people were standing, so where lifespans are getting higher, their lifespans were going down again because we are sitting all day. So find ways to walk. Even if you're watching TV and you're just walking around the room while you're watching TV, find places to walk around your neighborhood if you can. Find places to ride a bike. If the gym is the easiest place for you to get some exercise, go to the gym. Do some stretching while you watch TV, something so that you're not completely sedentary. One of the things I noticed most when I moved to a standing desk is that I tend to be cold all the time, and I realized once I stood up, my metabolism kicked in. My body didn't think it was sleeping anymore, so I warmed up. I wasn't as cold, and that's kind of amazing to know that when I'm sitting all day with my laptop or working at a computer at my desk, my body thinks it's at rest. My body thinks it's sleeping, even though my brain may be going. So just the act of standing up turned my body on. Also caused me to lose quite a bit of weight without doing anything different in my eating at all. I dropped about 5 pounds very quickly moving to a standing desk. So our bodies are made to move. So that's exercise. So mental health. Let's just talk briefly about this. If you have mental health issues, you need to be taking care of them in terms of happiness. So if you need medication for a period of time, if you need talk therapy for a period of time, or as long as you need it, that's an issue to be taken care of as well, just like your physical health. Another important part of mental health is relaxation exercises. So the people with the longest lives had some sort of daily relaxation exercise that worked into their life. So either praying in some sort, either to ancestors or God or whatever your beliefs are, or a higher being, meditation, napping. Siestas are very good for you if you can work them into your daily schedule. And for some people, drinking. A happy hour, and as long as you are limiting it to 1 or 2 drinks, is not a bad thing as long as alcohol is not an issue for you. So if alcohol is something that's safe for you, a glass of wine at night is one possible way to relax. But again, one of the important things about this is that it's daily. So it's not something that you're going out on a Friday night and binge drinking. It's something that you incorporate into your daily life to allow yourself to de-stress. Another important thing for happiness and longevity is what I call growth, passion, or purpose. So it's important to think about, and we'll do this at a later session, think about what your mission statement is. What gets you up in the morning? What is important to you? It's also important to develop people skills. You need to have relationships, and you need to be able to grow those relationships. So developing people skills we don't think of as something that we need to work on, but it is. We need to be able to communicate clearly with people. It helps in all of our relationships, and it helps build friendships as well. Volunteering. Find something you're passionate about. Give back to the community. And in terms of passion, you really ideally want to create a room in your home that is set up for you to work on your passions, the things that you like to do. It's often called a flow room. So it's a room where you can be creative. It's a room where you can work on the things that are important for you. It's probably not a room where you sit and you watch a lot of television. It's a place where you have the things that you need, whether it's a craft room or whether it's a writing room, or it's some place for you to be creative and work on the things that are important to you. It may be outdoors. Gardening is a wonderful hobby to work on. It gets us outside, it gets us vitamin D, it gets us moving. So all the things that we've been talking about, it's all something that can really add to happiness. And talking about developing people skills, relationships are also very important. People who are happiest belong to some sort of organization that they participate in at least 4 times a month. For most people, it's a church, but it doesn't have to be a religious organization. It's some sort of group of people that builds a community that you participate in at least 4 times a month. So for me, I belong to a musical group. We meet twice a week. I can't always make it twice a week. I usually make it once a week. But it's a group of people that I know well. We rely on each other. When people have been traveling for the musical group, we've donated money. We support one another on a regular basis. We know when somebody's going through a hard time, and they are the people that I know I can turn to because they know me well. They've known me well for years. So again, it doesn't have to be religious. For a lot of people it is, and that's a wonderful way to get your community as well. But if you are not a religious person, there are other avenues. You want it to be something consistent, and you want it to be a group of people that you can get to know, that you can support, and they can help support you. You really want to focus on your loved ones first. So you want to make sure to make a priority of your friends and your family that you love. They should be as important to you as other aspects of your life, like work. You need to make time for those relationships. They are very important to happiness. And they need to be the right people. So if you are surrounded by a lot of very negative people, they've found that a lot of things are contagious. Weight gain is contagious. Loneliness is contagious. So actually, if you're with people who are very lonely, which it seems surprising, but if you have family members who don't get out, who don't have a social group, that actually can be contagious. It can, and I think what it is it leads you to think that is normal. And so you may not seek your own groups because you're surrounded by people who don't do that. So those are the kind of things you want to be around, the kind of people that you want to be like. So you want to be around happy people. You want to be around passionate people. You want to be around energetic people. So look for those people in your life. Work. Here are the things that make us happier with work. We can't always do them, but they need to be goals. If you can avoid a long commute, and I know sometimes we can, most of us would like to avoid a long commute, we can't always. If there's any way to work out working from home at any point, if you have a long commute, do it. Don't hesitate. Avoiding a long commute is important, and if you can get away from it, that's great. I know it's not always possible. These are not We're going to do our best with these, but if you have to have a long commute, it doesn't mean it ruins the rest of your happiness goals. Take your vacations. The people who don't take vacations are less happy. Vacations are important, even if it's just a long weekend. If you're taking one day, the anticipation of a vacation is good for your happiness levels. The vacation itself is good, and being able to remember the vacation through memories is also good. So every aspect of that is beneficial. And try to find a job that uses your natural talents. Again, it's not something we always have control over, but if there is, even in the job that you're in, if there is a way to use your natural talents more, if a new project comes up and you think it would really use a skill that you have, try to gravitate towards it, try to get involved in it. Again, you will be much happier in work if you are able to use those natural talents and to feel like you're growing in that way. I know it's a lot. I'm throwing a lot at you. I'm giving you just a little update on happiness. We are not, like I said, not going to change everything at once. We're going to focus on the physical health first. So we're going to make another appointment for a month from now, and we're going to write goals for you regularly on each of these things that you can work on. And we will get to them all. And hopefully, by the end of our sessions, you will have greatly increased your happiness levels. Okay? So for this month, I want you to schedule a physical with your doctor. Make sure that your bedroom is set up optimally for sleep. And start, this is not perfection, this is a start. Start thinking about food. Start thinking about incorporating more plants into your diet, and start being conscious of only eating to 80% of fullness. Okay? All right. Does that seem totally overwhelming? No? Okay. So we have been monitoring your brain activity throughout this whole thing, and we'll be able to tell from your brain if you think this is overwhelming or not, or if it's actually made you happier. The hope can make you happier that things are going to get better, and they will. So I'm going to take these electrodes off here. Okay, and then this one over here. And we'll take this cap off of your head. Okay. Alright, so we'll have all of that data, and we will test it again in a month when you come in, and we'll also have you take a shorter version of the AHIQ, the happiness questionnaire, and see if things are improving, and if they're not, we'll revisit the goals that we're setting and see if other areas will benefit you more, or if you're having trouble with some of these goals, we'll work on them some more. Okay? Well, so nice to meet you today. Yeah. And I look forward to seeing you in a month. Okay. Great. Take care and be happy.